Welcome to Talk South Asian to Me Season 3. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Anusha. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central and hear us react to each other's stories about mental health and growing up in different South Asian households.
And remember, this podcast is not therapy. Engage with what feels entertaining and resonates with you and leave what doesn't.
All right, let's get into today's episode. Before we start with our topic today, I thought we could do a little bit of a Q&A and ask me anything about
Okay.
a random topic. So
Okay.
this is what was written in for us. The question is, how do you decide when to go back to therapy? Like, what are the signs to pay attention to that you need therapy again?
That's a
Thoughts?
really good question.
Yeah.
How do I decide how does one decide if they need to go back to therapy?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's being aware of any triggers or traumatic events or events that kind of cause an intense emotional reaction. So, kind of having that self awareness. Having that self awareness of that emotional intensity that you might experience,
Yeah.
and just like kind of looking from the outside within, like, okay, I just went through this, or I'm feeling these emotions, or maybe I'm feeling kind of scattered, or just not feeling myself lately, not being able to maintain what I used to maintain when it comes to my routines, right? All
Mhm.
those signs to look for, like, okay, let's take a step back. Okay, what is happening? Why am I acting this way? Is there something that happened? Is there an underlying reason? Maybe I need to talk to someone to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
kind
love
of
that.
my
That was
take
a
on it.
really good summary.
Okay, I tried.
No, I love that. That was a really good summary. I was thinking, what came up for me was anytime you notice that you seem like off than what you typically
Mm,
seem. And like we all grow and evolve, but if you start feeling like I just don't something feels off and you can't quite put your finger on it, that's a pretty
yeah,
good indicator, right? So those things could
yeah,
be like just random or they could be like I've been more angry and irritable than I
yeah,
usually am, like what's going
yeah,
on or I've been feeling
yeah,
more like isolating myself and I feel really more disconnected than usual. What's going on? Like those kinds of things that just feel out of sorts for your normal. I think
mm-hmm,
that's an indication that something is up. And if you
right,
sit with it and you can't figure out what that something is, then, like therapy might be helpful. That and or, just support when you're going through major
mm-hmm,
life transitions. I think those were the two
yeah.
things that came up for me.
No, that makes sense to me. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think like self-awareness is like another skill that people have to learn, right? So like if that's a skill that hasn't been practiced or learned yet, like I think you're right. Like if it's just something feels off, or like,
Mm,
you know, my reactions have been more intense, or I'm getting more irritable,
yeah.
right? If there's some confusion about the emotions that we're feeling, I think it's a good place to go to.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's so like I just want to point out, I know we've mentioned this a lot in our previous episodes, but I think this question really gives a great time and excuse to bring this up.
Mm,
Like a lot of people in our culture, especially in the South Asian culture, it's more acceptable to start therapy when it's an extreme like
yeah.
behaviors or extreme patterns or
Oof.
extreme like traumatic experience,
Yeah.
like events. Like there's no reason, like that is a reason, but that's not the only reason. Like it's very normal to
Yeah.
want to go to therapy just because of these simple changes that you might be experiencing, like more irritability. Like yeah, you like a lot of people in our culture say it's just stress, you need to sleep, you need to
Yeah.
eat, you need to pray, right? Like
Oof. Yeah.
right, like there, like when you start hearing that maybe from your family members saying like, oh, why aren't you sleeping well, or why aren't you eating well, or why, like maybe that could be a sign too, like, oh, something else is
I
going
love
on.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's do therapy. And I will say, I'm sure like people till this day like still get pushback, but honestly the reward is so much more worth it than the pushback
Mm,
you might experience.
yeah. I
And
love literally all
insurance,
of what you just said.
yes, insurance helps as well, so that's good.
Insurance, employee assistance programs at
There you go.
work,
Yeah,
having if you are paying ridiculous amounts anyway for your
yeah,
insurance, out of network benefits, there's always options. There's
exactly.
reduced fee therapy. There's options for
Yeah.
everybody.
Hmm.
Can be accessible. I really love everything that you said, mainly because a lot of the little things that you said, we're going to hit on today. And you're going to see why I said
Ooh,
that. And I'm really
I'm
excited.
excited.
It's a good segue.
Foreshadowing.
It's a perfect segue into today's episode, which we've very creatively titled
Yee.
Choking on Unshed Tears.
What letter is it?
See? See?
See, choking on unshed tears. So
Yeah,
dramatic,
I know.
but so true.
Yeah. But like even like hearing that, right? Like doesn't that stir something up in you?
Yeah, it does.
Choking on unshed tears. Like I know we were being dramatic with the titles, but like if you really think about it, like that hits deep.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
does for
does
me.
hit deep.
Gives me goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
And so for today's episode on choking on unshed tears, what does that mean? So basically we're diving into what it means to carry unexpressed grief, pain, or some kind of emotion, right?
Yeah.
Particularly we're taking the angle of when you've learned to smile through everything despite what
Mm.
you're suppressing.
I love that you said unexpressed
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
suppression. Those are key words,
Exactly. This is the key, guys. Listen up.
right?
So basically, to even like pare it down even more, what we're talking about is that like the state where your emotion is just so, so, so intense that it makes it really difficult to like talk, to express yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like that lump in your throat, right? AKA grief most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I'm not
Okay.
going to get ahead of myself. I thought today we could actually start right off the bat, like with the South Asian community and like how this kind of shows up.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, when I think about choking on unshed tears, right, what does that mean? Crying, right? So, like in the South Asian community, I find that more often than not, crying is often shamed and silenced with, you know, our typical like low kya genge type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very normal for emotions to be seen as like very private, sometimes even like taboo, you know, like in public or around like elders or things like that. Just, you know, we don't make a public display of it. Emotions
Yeah.
are meant to be felt inside.
Right.
And then we just suck it up and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I tend to feel like because these are the norms, and again, just to kind of play devil's advocate here, like I do get it, right? I get it. Generations upon generations have literally survived by suppressing their emotions
Right.
and they needed it to survive. So, like, I get that,
Right.
right? But the
Right.
problem is it's become a default mode of strength. It's becoming
Mm. A sign of
equated to strength.
strength. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it's equated to strength like that, and it becomes something ingrained that this is something that's positive, this is something that we need to strive for,
Mm-hmm.
that's how the generational trauma gets passed down. Because most of us probably learned that holding it in is what makes us good, it's what makes us respectful, it's what makes us strong, it's what makes us look put together,
Right.
right? But I mean, like, let's be real. I mean, how many, you know, I'm talking to our listeners, but also you, Michelle, since you can respond
Mm-hmm.
back to me. Have you heard of like parents or just like elders in the community? Like, have you heard people say things like, we didn't cry in our generation. This generation is too
Yeah.
soft. They're too emotional. They're too sensitive.
Yeah.
You've heard
Too
that, right?
sensitive. Yeah. That's a big one. Too
Yeah.
sensitive. Why are
Oh,
you being
yeah.
so sensitive? Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
she's
Like,
so sensitive.
you just gotta get over it. Like, that's just the
Mm-hmm.
generation. They're just too soft over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like it reinforces this emotional invalidation of like, there's one right way to be, an aspirational way to be, and this is not it. Feeling your feelings is not it.
Yeah.
But what we often talk about, like in therapy, like what I often like reframe for clients is it's important to recognize that there's two truths that we're holding, right? One,
Okay.
our parents and our elders, they were not taught how to feel safely. And we weren't
Right.
either. We weren't
Yeah.
either.
I love that you use the word safely
Yeah.
because it's not their fault, right? Like it goes
Yeah.
back to their traumatic experiences. That's important to reframe.
Yeah. And it doesn't excuse the harmful things that might be perpetuated, but it's an explanation and it's an important one
Mm-hmm.
because it's important to understand there's a reason for it, right? They
Right.
weren't taught how to feel safely. Therefore, we were not taught how to feel safely. And the other truth is, we are not necessarily surviving. Like, we don't have to survive. We can thrive, most of us now, right?
Yeah.
So we have the chance to break out of that cycle. We don't have to suffer and pass it on. So it's important to kind of hold these two truths. Still stings when, you know, the community says things like, oh, you're just doing that because you're just like a soft generation. You guys are just too sensitive. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, people who say that probably have a lot that they've suppressed.
Right.
It's not our job to fix that or to point it out, even though that might feel maybe a tiny bit gratifying. But it is our job to understand that and to take
Right.
responsibility for our own suppression and to break out of that cycle.
And it's so easy to like, when a person realizes this, they feel like they're responsible for others, like previous generations, like parents, grandparents, like,
Yeah.
but if you're right, like you're not responsible for them. You're responsible for yourself. That's what the only thing you can control is yourself. Elders might not change, and that's okay. That's like so hard to accept sometimes, but that's
It's
okay.
really hard, part of the
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Especially because sometimes clients often and people just generally, they're going to struggle with the idea of like survivor's guilt almost,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I have that privilege to change, I should bring people with me.
Yeah.
And like, it's great if it opens up the space for conversation and there's a willingness to have that open conversation. But if there's not, it's not your responsibility. But that doesn't mean you have to stay stuck in it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one that I see really common. Have you
Okay.
heard of parents or elders in the community saying things like, basically like spiritual bypassing type of comments, like just do your prayers, it's all part of karma,
Right.
you just need to
Yeah.
meditate more, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. Just like go to your place of worship. Things will get better. Which I'm not going to dismiss, like,
Right.
meditation and prayer has shown effects of like,
Definitely.
emotional expression and healthy coping in some ways. But I think when it comes to like the tears, like we talked about, right? Like the unshed tears, like the
Yeah.
suppression, sometimes that's still not enough of a release.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you said that because it's exactly that, right? Like, these practices are very sacred, they're very healing, but they can also be misused to
Mm-hmm.
avoid sitting with the real pain, right? So
Right.
spirituality should not be replacing emotions. It should just help you hold them. It's
Mm-hmm.
another like facet, another tool. Spirituality can help you hold these emotions, process them,
Right.
sit with them, but they should not be aiding and burying them.
Right.
Yeah. This is why, see, now you know, right? Call back to your answer earlier. This is what I said. I love that you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let's
How did
switch
I
over
know?
to what was that?
I said, how did I know?
How did you know? We're just always on the same wavelength.
Woohoo, we are.
Let's switch over to talking about research, and I'll focus the
Okay.
research more on like emotional suppression because that's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Emotional suppression leads to choking on unshed tears.
Exactly. Bingo.
AKA.
Yes. Connect it all together for me.
Right.
I think first, it would be really important for us to just go right off the bat talking about the cost of this emotional suppression. Suppressing our
Cost.
emotions basically, like, we think, right, when we're suppressing our emotions, we're like, "Oh, I don't have time for this. I don't need to feel this. I shouldn't be feeling this, or I need to just deal with it, right? Like, we suppress it for so many reasons, but
Mm-hmm.
suppressing our emotions actually just heightens them and then makes it worse, makes it bigger. It
Yeah.
doesn't actually deal with the problem of whatever you're
Right.
feeling. So this stress is basically growing. It's not going away. And when you hold in this cry, your body's sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight one, that
Mm-hmm.
one kicks in. So what happens then is your brain starts to release this adrenaline and cortisol kind of, that sort
Mm.
of hormones
Yeah. Stress
and
hormones.
the
Yeah.
stress hormones exactly in order to cope, which then if you do that enough times, you build more, like, you increase your heart rate, you increase your blood pressure.
Right. And have you seen like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, like those memes that kind of talk about, or those, I think that's a TikTok trend right now lately too,
Mhm.
where like my body doesn't know the difference between fighting a
Yes.
bear
Yes, yes,
and
yes. I love
like,
that.
whatever stressor that is that they want to talk about in
Yeah.
the video. But it's kind of similar, right? Like when our body releases these
Yeah.
hormones, it's the same hormones that are released when our ancestors were like actually in physical survival danger.
Physical, yeah,
Yeah. So it's this,
exactly.
which like when I first heard that, I was like, whoa, I'm
Yeah,
putting my body into this much stress, like that much. You know what I mean? Like that's
yeah,
that
it
often.
does.
But you're right. Like, and then like you said, there's long term like effects of
Mhm.
happening frequently. And you said that frequent emotional suppression leads to those, right? The release of those stress
So
hormones.
this is what happened, like, what I just described so far, the adrenaline, cortisol being released to cope with it, that's just what happens when we suppress, period,
Like in that moment.
in that moment.
Okay.
It gets scarier the longer you do it.
Ooh.
Yeah, dun, dun, dun.
It's like a horror movie.
This kind of really
Except you're
is.
not
It's
being chased by a
suspense.
bear.
Yeah, you're not actually being chased by a bear. This is more emotional pressures we're putting on
Yeah.
you as you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
So right now, what you're experiencing might feel like you're being chased by a bear, but you are not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did see that trend though. I did one too. Mine was my body doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear and feeling guilt when I'm trying to
Oh
say
yeah.
no to
Oh
people
yes.
pleasing.
I think I saw that one and I was like, I resonate. Like,
I knew you would, as people pleasers.
exactly.
So, like you said, right? Like there is a chronic effect though, right? So, what does that look like? Other
Here
than
we
the
go.
short term,
The
and here we
long
go.
list.
Buckle in, okay? The short term is the adrenaline and the cortisol immediately being
Right.
released in these
That's
moments.
immediate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like these one off moments, not to scare anybody, right? These one off moments when you withhold and you suppress, it really isn't a big deal in these one
Mm-hmm.
off moments.
Right.
Because in certain situations, suppression can be appropriate, right? Like if you're at a work meeting and you're about to present, like it might be appropriate not to start crying about something that's not
Right.
related. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the scarier stuff. So
Yeah.
there was one Psychology Today article, our favorite, by
Mm-hmm.
Catherine Cullen, who is a licensed clinical social worker.
Okay.
And she was talking about how regularly suppressing emotions can lead to like other mental health issues, such as feeling less socially connected to people, feeling less satisfaction with like friends and family. And people who suppress frequently are also more likely to experience anxiety, depression,
Mm-hmm.
and just generally other kinds of mental health issues and struggles. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the physical health side of it,
Mm.
in this more frequent suppression, you will see headaches, muscle tensions, digestive problems,
Yeah.
sleep disturbances. Not great, mind, body, there's a connection. It's not great
Right.
stuff, but this is still reversible, right? You can still do something with it. Here's where it gets even more tricky
Mm.
and where that chronic habit of this becomes even more dangerous.
Mm.
There was a study done on emotional suppression and mortality risk over 12 years, and they found that chronic habit of emotional suppression can lead to earlier death in general.
Wait, can you repeat that one more time?
Chronic habit of emotional suppression can lead to earlier death.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
realize
things
that.
like hypertension, heart disease, and even
That's
cancer.
wild. That's wild.
Yeah. This is scary stuff. Suppressing our
Mm-hmm.
emotions is
It's a big
like a
deal.
big deal. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
just something that's like, oh, just suppress emotions, not a big deal. It is
Yeah.
a big deal. It
Yeah.
is a
I
big
didn't
deal.
I didn't know that there was this many effects. Like when you told me about the
Yeah.
hormones, I was like, okay. And like I am familiar with the science behind the long-term release of these stress hormones because
Yeah.
I think the science behind it is like your body goes into storage mode, right?
Yeah.
Like your body's in danger, you feel like
Mhm.
your survival is in danger, so you're going to go to storage. So like fat
Yeah.
storage and like that long-term effects of that is like heart disease, like you said, all these
Exactly.
different chronic illnesses that are related to that.
Exactly. And like obviously we're not talking about a timeline of like a couple of years here, but like it all adds up.
Right.
Our habits add up.
Yeah, yeah, it's a long term,
Yeah.
right? Like we're doing our
It's not going to
conference,
happen
like
in
this
5
is not going
years.
to happen
Mm-mm.
tomorrow or like
Yeah.
a week.
No.
It's a long term suppression, right?
It's a
Like
long-term
we're
suppression.
talking about like maybe our previous generations, like our parents' generation, our grandparents, where they have years and years of emotional suppression.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Now, we've talked kind of like the physical health side, a little bit on the mental health side, but you know me, I love talking about emotions, right? So
Right.
suppressing our emotions, it's not just about like the health stuff, it's also about like our life stuff, right? So what I mean by that
Mm-hmm.
is suppressing our emotions also deprives us of key information about our values, our motivations, our needs, our boundaries, about us. Because
Mm-hmm.
emotions are just signals, they're little messengers about us.
Right.
So when we suppress those things, we disconnect from all these important parts of us.
Why does Inside Out is screaming at me right now? When the
Mm,
identity strings
yes,
go away.
always.
I'm like, she's losing parts of her identity by
Yeah,
suppressing her emotions.
yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Now she just feels all gray and gloomy. It's not great. Riley deserves better. You deserve better.
Yes, we all do.
Yes, exactly. It's just not worth the damage, right? Like if you think
Right.
about all the things that suppressing your emotions leads to, it's just not worth it.
Mm-mm.
We
It's
deserve
not.
better. Don't suppress your emotions.
Yeah. You
So
know, that movie was such a good visual for that. Exactly what you said. So,
seriously, it was
yeah,
like
like
perfect. And I
identity
love
strings.
it's amazing. Like even the sense of self, like the glowing
Mm-hmm.
orbs and everything. Every part of that movie was just perfection.
So good. So good.
Perfection. But they did consult with like, therapists
Yeah.
and like
Yeah. Shout
psychologists
out
and
to them.
stuff, which is
Yeah.
why it was so accurate and like a perfect
Yeah.
representation.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Go Pixar.
Woohoo! Particularly this. What's it called? Inside Out. Inside Out.
Inside Out creators. Yeah.
I hope they do more.
Me too. We need a third one.
I'd be down. I'd watch like 4 or 5. Kind of like a Toy Story thing. They just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. They should.
So, if we really talk about don't ever do this, label, warning, 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 what are you supposed to do? Right? Like,
Right.
I'm going to break it down. What we need to do instead of suppressing our emotion is to first and foremost just notice its presence, right? So, anytime you get
Right.
that choked up feeling, anytime you notice an emotion, even if it's like a really gross, icky emotion, do not avoid it. Like, it's okay. It is telling you something, and it might be telling you something that you really, really need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ignore it, it's only going to get louder and it's going to only get more destructive to get your
Yeah.
attention. So just notice its presence, right? So typically, most of the time, emotions tend to take up like a physical presence in our body,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you might feel anxiety like butterflies in your belly. You might feel it sometimes maybe in your chest, a heaviness. You might feel sadness in your throat, right? So just notice its physical presence first and soften your resistance to it. So what that means is like take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Whatever this emotion is going to tell you, it's going to be okay. You can just be open and you can deal with it. I believe in
Like
you.
self-affirmation.
I believe in you. You can deal with it. Yeah. Affirm that. And then once you're able to notice the presence, soften yourself to this experience, then comes a little bit of a tricky part, but it's something we can all learn to do. It's a muscle we can learn to build. We need to tune into what is this emotion trying to tell us.
That's tricky.
Yeah, definitely tricky, but it is definitely a skill we can all learn to do.
Exactly.
What I mean by that is, as you're trying to like focus in on this part, how this feels, you can focus on like the physical sensations. Does it feel hot? Does it feel cold? Does it feel prickly? Does it feel kind of loud? Like what does it feel like? And as you kind of just focus on it, breathe, take some deep breaths in and around this discomfort you're feeling. Notice what comes up for you, thoughts, words, other emotions you can identify, memories. Just kind of notice what it's trying to tell you based on what you're noticing come up around this experience.
So kind of approach it with curiosity
I
rather
love that
than
you said
like
that.
punishment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like instead of guilt, just be curious.
Yeah.
Like what is going on? Like ask yourself
Absolutely.
questions.
Yeah. Just be curious to it. As if literally this was not your experience, but somebody you cared about, somebody you loved. If this was like your friend going through this, you wouldn't come in there, guns a-blazing and just being like, why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. You would just kind of be like, hey, what's going on? Do that for yourself.
Tell me more.
Exactly. And then use that information of whatever you find to inform your behavior. So what I mean is, don't let it dictate your behavior. So if you have anger there or sadness there and it's saying, oh, this person is making me feel so upset, I just want to yell at them. It's totally valid to recognize that, but you don't want it to dictate your behavior and then start yelling at this person, but you do want it to inform you. So the difference is, oh, okay, I feel like yelling at this person because I feel really hurt and that's not cool what they said. If it informs you, you can now advocate for yourself and you can literally say that. That's really not a cool thing to say. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That is
but
a lot, yeah.
It's really just that. We got to notice these things, how they show up, how they feel, what they're trying to tell us, be really curious to it, like you said, and then use that information to figure out what we need to do. It's a process, but we can learn, I promise. Other things that we can do, I thought the Psychology Today article, and I think a couple others that I looked into, they also talked about like maybe creating rituals, right, to let emotions out. So that could be done through not just crying, but like journaling, through music even, through breath work, quiet time in your car to just reflect as you're driving or, what have you, right? The idea is to deal with our emotions, whether that be through actually crying or other things. We just need to give them space to be felt, to understand what's coming up, and then to deal with it based on that information. And then also, my favorite, challenge the belief that crying is a weakness, because crying isn't about weakness. It is a sacred form of release. Is that so exciting?
Yeah, it is a sacred form of release, the most natural.
Yeah, it's a natural self-soothing thing. That's why babies, even before they learn or know anything, they know how to cry. They know how to self-soothe. Okay, let's bring it back to South Asian community for a second. I want to focus specifically on My experience with my therapy clients, the South Asian clients,
Yeah.
now in general, I've kind of thought about it and like kind of gathered a couple of different things that I've noticed be a pattern. So I typically have clients who tell me that they have a fear that once they start crying, they feel like they're just going to never stop. They just have so
Mm.
much, right? So that's another thing that kind of feels like a barrier to them. There's
They
also
have to stop.
internalized, yeah, they're never going to stop. They just
Yeah.
feel like it'll get out of control. So they can't open that up. Feels like Pandora's box to them,
Yeah.
right? And then there's also a lot of similar internalized beliefs I hear, three in particular. One is if I cry, I will be seen as dramatic, sensitive, XYZ, fill in the blank. That kind of negative
Yeah.
connotation,
Yeah.
emotions. Oh, crying makes it real. I don't want to face it. So
Mm.
why bother?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And that's a very
It's a
real
real
sentiment.
reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah. And lastly, no one would understand, so why bother? I cannot tell you how many times clients have ended up bawling in session and like crying. I mean, it's therapy. That's what it's there for you to
Yeah.
feel. But I cannot tell you the number of times clients have cried and then apologized to me for crying.
Mm.
Have you done that before?
Yeah.
I've done that too. My
Yeah.
first therapy experience out of college, I cried so much and I was not used to having people like make space for my crying. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that I'm crying. I'm so sorry I'm not put together at my own therapy.
Yeah. You're not supposed to be. I did that in my therapy. I still do that sometimes.
Yeah. It's hard to
Let go. Yeah.
like go of that, like whatever this belief is of like we have to be put together. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, I've been there, but I don't blink, when clients say that. Like sometimes I'll just kind of not say anything, not give it the space to say anything because I don't want to make it a big deal. But sometimes they say it often. I'll be like, I've noticed that you've said, you've apologized a lot for crying. The space is for you to feel, right? And like kind of call it
Yeah.
out. And they're like, yeah, I guess. It feels weird. And then that comes into a good conversation about crying and essentially what we're talking about
Mm.
today, the importance
Right.
of it all.
Right.
So to put it all together, I know, like we've talked about, in our community, silence is often seen as a strength.
Yes.
But I want to offer a reframe. Real strength is the courage to feel.
Yep. I
Does that
agree.
feel nice? I like
Yes.
that.
Courage to feel.
Yeah,
That's where
that's
the
the
real
real strength.
strength lies.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, let's be honest, that is a courageous thing to do, to feel,
Yeah.
because most of us aren't really taught how to do that. So it feels
Yeah.
really scary. So it is a courageous thing. That's the real strength to feel. And I know that because, again, right, like we were talking about the norms of South Asian communities and how we're raised and like what's seen as appropriate, not appropriate, all of that. There's a big stigma, right, about seeking
Mm.
therapy, like you said earlier, too. Again, call back to your answer at the very start of this episode. There is definitely a stigma, like you talked about people reaching out for help in therapy and like mental health struggles. Low kicking, again, strikes again,
Right.
gets in the way. But there is culturally sensitive counseling, right? Like, humble brag
Mm-hmm.
for a second. I'm a culturally sensitive therapist, and
You
me
are.
and other wonderful therapists are all on this one platform specifically for South Asians called southasiantherapistdirectory.org. It
Mm-hmm.
is worldwide. So for anybody who wants to seek out therapy but has that, barrier. Although this can go two ways. I don't know if you've heard, but there's actually a lot of South Asians who would prefer to steer far, far, far away from South Asian therapists,
Oh, I haven't
which is
heard that.
fair, depending on your experiences, right? You might want to be completely outside of this realm. Some people, experience being outside the realm and they want to come back in. But whatever your preferences are, there are definitely culturally sensitive therapists out there in general, all kinds of various backgrounds. So if that's something that has been stopping you, that's something to look
Yeah.
out for. And that's one
Yeah.
resource, the South Asian Therapist Directory.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it on my research. It wasn't too scary. I didn't take you on like a whole Jaws type of
No, it
ordeal.
wasn't. But it was very insightful. There was
Yes.
a lot of information that I felt like was new to me. Like, I didn't realize how much of a physical impact emotional suppression is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I've like maybe like in the back of my mind, but like this makes it very direct and real for me.
All
It's
the work that
real.
you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. These things that we're doing have so much impact that we can't necessarily always see.
Right.
That's a good reminder in general. Like the things that are healthy for us, we might not see its impacts immediately. but
Yeah.
not doing those things can create quite a ripple.
Yeah.
And then imagine, right? Like, okay, we emotionally suppress and then we do some other things, like we'll talk about the most scariest one that we're talking about, right? Like death and a heart attack, hypertension, like cancer, all of that. There's so many things that could lead to those things in our current lifestyles in this world, right? Like the food that we eat, the movement that we get day to day.
Right.
Most American cities are not very walk friendly. We walk a lot less than people of different generations, and
Yeah.
certainly more than immigrant parents from back home, wherever their
Yeah.
home is, right? And like there's all these things that add up, and then on top of that we add like emotional suppression, things we can really do things about, and like I know the other things we can do things about too, but
Yeah.
they all add up.
They do add up. It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, enough of the sad. We'll switch for a second over to fun stuff. I have a fun fact.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready for this? This is
Yeah.
such a fun fact. I saw this and I was like, oh my God, you're going to love this.
Okay.
Do you know why crying is so soothing?
I don't know.
You want me to tell you?
Okay.
It's amazing. I love it. It blew my mind. Crying is so soothing. It's like literally a built-in self-soothing tool because the tears that we leak, that we emit,
Yeah.
they are pain relieving. They literally are pain relieving. They contain oxytocin and endorphins, and we're literally crying out stress hormones.
Wow.
Isn't that
I had no idea.
amazing?
That is a good fun fact.
Yeah, I loved that when I saw that.
It's okay to cry.
Do it. It's literally pain relieving. Do it.
Do it. It's a natural self-soother, like you said.
Natural. Again, babies do this. Let's do it. We can do it too. This was verified by medical news.
Something. They're smart.
They are. Honestly, like I feel like we were a lot smarter in the sense of like natural instincts and natural remedies, natural like home remedies when we're kids. Because that's like the biggest thing, self-soothing by crying.
Yeah.
It's huge. The other thing, this is more of a personal note, so the one that I just gave you, that is from Medical News Today, medical reviewed by a PhD in psyche, Timothy Legg. This is a Anusha note. The other thing I've noticed about crying is when you cry, particularly like those deep, deep cries, when you like double inhale, like the
sobbing. Yeah.
When you cry like that, you're actually resetting your parasympathetic nervous system. Like there's a specific kind of breathing that mimics this to help you with the same kind of soothing. I forget what it's called, but it's the same double inhale, exhale.
What you're talking about. Like it's like a strategy to come out of panic attacks.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like a
double inhale, long exhale.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the crying thing. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's and they're naturally doing it. Like your body just does it. Wow. That is
because you only cry like that too when you get to a panic level of grief at that point.
Yeah. And I've experienced this, I'm sure other people have too, like where you physically do feel better. Like I feel better after I cry, but now there's science behind that, right? Like you said. There's
now you know why.
Science. Yeah. It's real. It's not just you in your head thinks that you feel better. There's
science can be magical. Yeah. Okay, and then I have one quick food for thought type of a question, something that we can all just kind of think about. Are you ready? It's going to hit you.
Food for thought. Ready.
Here's my question.
Okay.
What are the tears you've been swallowing? And what would happen if you finally let them out?
Wow, that's deep.
Hit them where it hurts. So, food for thought. Nobody needs to answer this question right now, but rhetorical, exactly. Feel it, think about it. I don't want anybody crying out here right now. We're keeping it light, guys.
Yeah. There you go.
But also, if you want to cry, cry. That's the whole point of our episode today.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it. That was all the fun research I had. And I thought I could tell you my story, which I am dying to tell you because it was so perfect, Michelle. Literally so perfect for this episode. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
It literally just happened to me and I was dying to tell you about it.
Oh, it just happened?
Like it happened this weekend and I was dying to tell you.
This is so recent. I'm ready. I have no idea about this.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, this like aligns with our podcast perfectly. Okay, here we go. It's meant to be. Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so basically this story kind of all starts with, it's a long story and it's a short story.
Okay.
The long-term piece of this is, I've been watching a lot of like Korean dramas, Chinese dramas, and like reading a lot
Yes.
of fluffy romance books. Like that is
Yes.
all I've been able to consume for a while now. You know
Right.
this.
Right.
I was kind of chalking it up to my HSP, right? Like my sensitivity, like my being an empath and not being able to handle
Right.
more things right now. But guess what I realized the other day? Ivy, for the upteenth time, came into my office and was like, "Hey, did you get that thing done that you wanted to do?" It was something for the business. I'm trying to grow my
Yeah.
business and doing these things. I haven't been doing them. I've been putting them off, putting them off, putting them off for the consecutive, I don't even know how many months now it's
Oh,
been. And so he came in to
yeah.
the office that day and he was like, "How did that go? Did you do it?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "What's going on with you? I feel like you've been wanting to do it. You've been like making plans and revising plans and you're not doing it. Like what's going on? I feel
Yeah.
like something's going on." And so we kind of got into this like conversation. We were talking about it. And then out of nowhere, I have this feeling like I'm choking on my unshed tears.
Whoa. Like you felt a
Yeah.
lump in your throat?
I had a lump in my throat. I was feeling really heavy. I was feeling a lot of like grief and like it was hurting in my chest. I was like, what is happening? And I was just talking about it. And I was like, I don't know what it is. Like I
Mm.
named it. I did all the things that we talked about, right? And I couldn't figure out what it was. So we talked about it a little bit more. And then I do start crying because I was like giving myself time to feel it. So at this
Yeah.
point, it came out in like these tears. And then I kind of sat with it. Couple of days go by and I was trying to continue to be like, what's going on? I'm trying to give it more
Hmm.
space now that I know there's something here, but I'm terrified. I also don't want to cry again because I'm like, I don't want
Yeah.
to know what this is. I'm kind of scared to know what it
Yeah.
is.
It's scary. It's
And I start
unknown.
journaling. I know, but it's okay. I've got the
Journaling is
tools.
good.
I've got the support system. I can handle it.
Hmm. Good.
So I was journaling in bed and trying to figure this out and kind of getting frustrated because I was like, "Ugh," and this is so ridiculous of me to think, but I was like, I'm
Hmm.
a therapist. I'm so self aware all the time. I've been to therapy. Why can't I like figure this out? And I'm
Yeah.
ridiculous kinds of thoughts. But I was kind of sitting there and then I finally was like, why am I being so hard on myself? Is this what I would tell a client to do? So I switched it up. I literally was like, I need to be more compassionate. I need to be more curious. And then the light bulb went off. Curiosity, like
Yeah.
key. Curiosity, sitting with it. These are the keys. So I sat there and I was really thinking about it and I started feeling choked up again. And so this time when I felt choked up, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay with it. I'm going to be curious. So I let myself feel choked up. I let myself feel it, almost kind of like imagining like a warm hug to this feeling that I was feeling
Yeah.
in my chest. And then I realized what it was. And I won't go into it too much, but it basically had a lot to do with my health and
Mm.
a lot of like just cycles of disappointment and wanting to avoid further disappointment. And
Mm.
somehow that had also trickled into, and this I haven't connected quite, but I can't speak today. It has also trickled into fear of just like generally fears, I guess, about growing my career.
Mm.
And I was like, aha, like that makes so much sense to me. There was
Wow.
grief. There was this protective, some part of me that was like very protective was like, okay, you've dealt with this disappointment so many times. I refuse to let you feel it again. We're going to shut you down now. We're not going
Wow.
to let you feel this anymore. And
Yeah.
so, again, oh my gosh, our emotions, our parts, so well intentioned. But if you let them run the show, they will blow up your life here and there for
Yeah.
a little bit. So they shut me down for all these past months and let me binge read and binge watch things to feel like nice emotions and ignore the stuff. And in that, like I don't know if
Wow.
I've told you, but I think I told you, right? Like I was feeling really disconnected from
Mm.
like wanting to like do stuff with Addie, like just go like on dates and stuff. I'd kind of feel
Yeah.
like, oh, but like it's cutting into my fun time. I'm like, whoa, where did
Yeah.
that thought come from? Right?
Yeah.
Insane. So all of that to say, I was choking on unshed tears recently
Wow.
and sitting with it and like really giving myself the space and being compassionate and curious helped me kind of figure out what's going on. But
Hmm.
obviously, like I'm not gonna therapist myself. That's impossible. So I have scheduled finally.
Woohoo.
I'm restarting therapy. Yay.
Go, Anusha. That's a big step. I'm really
Yeah.
proud of you.
Thank you. I have my intake session scheduled for next week. I'll let you
There
know how
you
it
go.
goes.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know.
So that's my story. Isn't that crazy?
That is wild and such a good example of noticing something really small, like a lump in your throat, and then trying to make space for it, and then it turns into this really big revelation.
Huge.
Revelation. Oh my gosh, revelation. Can't speak.
I can't say the word
Revelation.
wrong.
Revelation. There you go.
Wait, no, it is revelation. Yeah. It's
But it
revelation.
turns into this big revelation of like, oh, this all connects, like one connection to the next connection to the
So
next
many
connection.
things.
It
Yeah.
makes sense.
It also
Wow.
led me, fun fact, it also led me to go down this path, and I realized a lot of things make sense. I have ADHD. It's not diagnosed, but I have
The
check,
symptoms.
check, check. Lots of those
Wow.
things are lining up. And if I hadn't let myself feel and like really deal with it finally, I would never have
Yeah.
known.
Yeah.
And I would never have gotten the help I needed. So now I've
Exactly.
signed up for the therapy, I've signed up for like doctor's appointments and this and that. And like,
Wow. So
it's
proud of
happening.
you.
It's
You're
happening.
prioritizing yourself. It's almost like I don't know if it's called learned helplessness, but it's like you
Hmm.
don't like you get used to something so much that you realize that's your norm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you don't know what's on the other side.
Yes, exactly.
This is not probably the best example, but like it's a good example of like a physical thing. Like for me, like for the longest time, I thought this was normal where I had like really low energy, where
Mm,
I like at the end of the day after work and stuff, like I would just
mm,
want to be on the couch and sleep. Like I didn't want to get up and get ready to for bed. I thought that was just me
yeah.
being lazy and not normal. Or like
Mm,
I would get sleepy like while driving home. Like I would get
yeah.
tired. And then when I like did a better job at like taking care of my health and getting my blood work done and like checking
Mm,
my iron because anemia is runs in my family
sure.
genetically, I found out like I was significantly and severely, those were the words,
Oof.
anemic. And then that made sense. And when I started taking my iron, it went away. And
That's
I was
good.
like, that was not normal. But
Yeah.
like I thought it was just because I was being tired. I wasn't sleeping enough or I was being lazy or I was tired.
Yeah.
But like it's the same thing, right? Like you don't know what's better until you think about like, okay, it could be better and maybe I can create like
Yeah.
have some tools like, medicine or therapy or something like that that
Exactly.
can make things better for me.
No, totally.
Right.
That absolutely resonates. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like two sides of the same coin, right? Like for me, as I was talking about the mental health side of it, you were talking about the physical health side of it, but like it all
Right.
connects, obviously, like we've talked
Yeah.
about so many times. And I do feel like that, I mean, that was it for me too, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
more recently, I mean, I know we've talked about it, right? Like with some of my like thyroid stuff, this and that, like there was
Yeah.
just so
There's a
many
lot.
things that I just took, including the ADHD part of it now that I've
Yeah.
discovered that I've
Yeah.
just taken as like, well, this is just who I am. This is like my experience. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, there were things there. This is not normal. Not normal
Exactly.
as in like, it doesn't have to be this way. There's a
Mm-hmm.
nicer, healthier, lighter way to be.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that's
Yeah.
very recent, requires, I'm sure, a lot of vulnerability.
Mhm.
And so I appreciate you sharing that
I am
very
practicing
recent
that.
part of your journey. And I'm really excited for you. Welcome to the club. I know you've been part of the club before, but welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm back in
Yes,
it.
gonna embrace you in open arms. It's the best place ever. And it's gonna be so good. I'm really excited.
Yeah. I'm excited too. It's going to be fun too. I haven't done therapy after being a fully licensed therapist. So
Mm.
it'll be fun to be a part of like the other side of the chair.
Yes. And you're gonna be like, oh, this like it's just so fun. It's such a
I'm
great
going to,
tool. And I think you're being a therapist, you're gonna appreciate it even more.
yeah, totally. I love it. I can already appreciate, like, even just this past weekend, I could already appreciate again, like I've always appreciated, but I could like remind myself of that appreciation I have
Yeah.
for what it's like to be on the other side and feel like
Mm.
something's off and I need to go figure this out.
Yeah,
And like the
absolutely.
feelings that come up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Woohoo. Go
Yay.
Anusha. Hands up for you, raising the roof for you. Woo
Hey.
woo. Go Anusha. Yay.
Thank you,
I'm proud of
boo.
you. I'm
I'm gonna
very
call you
proud of you.
after and be like,
Yeah.
it's time to
I need a
debrief.
debrief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just know, anyone out there, including you, my very first session was me telling my whole life story. And it was so helpful because my
Mhm.
therapist, it was like an introduction to my like timeline in my life.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because at first, anytime I've talked to someone, they're like, what do we do in the first session? Like, even I
Mm.
felt awkward before. Like, what do I do? Like, what do I say? Like, I'm nervous. And my therapist, she did a really good job, like, keeping it open. But then she kind of said, like, do you want me to ask you questions? And I was like, yes.
Mhm.
And I think we just got to the first question. And then after that first question, it just turned into the whole session of me talking, which was really funny.
That's how it goes sometimes. You click
Yeah.
onto something and you're
Yeah.
like, got momentum.
Yeah. So that was really great where like when they're like I was able to tell my therapist like, okay, yeah, I think I might need some
Mm,
guiding questions. And then it just took that one or two question in the beginning and I was able to just take over. But I think that really helped set the tone and the background and like the groundwork to continue doing the work in later sessions. Like
yeah,
we were able to reference back on what I shared and it was great. It was
I love
great.
that.
It's still great. And I'm really excited for you. Can't wait to hear
Me
about it.
too. I'm actually really psyched to be on the other side of it.
It's going to be great. And you're going to be like, wow, I'm not the one asking the questions.
Yeah, that feels nice. I get to just
Yes.
be showing up.
Yes. All right. Well, that was a really great story. Are you ready for mine?
I am very ready for yours.
Okay, before I get to my personal side, I do want to share, as you were talking, I feel like I do something professionally that really relates and resonates.
Mhm.
So, as some of our listeners might know, like I'm a child life specialist. I work in a cancer hematology center unit and like deal with a lot of patients diagnosed with oncology diagnosis like leukemia. And so
Mm.
I work with patients and their siblings. And part of my support that I provide is like education, but then also like coping and support. So my explanation that I very is my go-to with all the educations and sibling educations I do, the patient and sibling, is when we get to the emotion piece, I kind of talk about, and it's like it has to do with this, is emotional suppression. I would say like the way the emotions work in our bodies. This is like a developmentally appropriate explanation. Like pretend I'm talking to like a school age or,
Mhm.
you know. So the way emotions work in our bodies is that it's like kind of like a volcano. Like it keeps building and building and building and building and building until it explodes. Like, have you ever, maybe you were feeling a lot of feelings and you said something that you didn't mean, or you yelled when you didn't mean to yell, or you hit when you would never mean to hit. And they'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, that's exactly why. Is because your emotions, you kept them inside you in your body. So it kept on building and building and building until it made you do something you didn't mean to. So it's really important for us to make sure that we take these emotions outside of our body. And we can do that by talking about it with someone. We can write about them in a journal. We can draw them in a journal. Like it's important that we take them out. And I remember like his teen brother, he was like, "Ugh, I don't want to do journals. I hate writing. I don't do this." And I was like, okay, like what about like a voice memo, a voice diary? And that's something that he like loved so much. And he like, I remember came back to visit with his sister during an appointment. And he was like, I've been doing this. Look at all these recordings. I was like, that's great. So that's so amazing that you brought it up. And I was like I do this in my work all the time. I love the volcano analogy because
Yeah, me too.
it's a nice visual for concrete thinkers, which is like kids because they haven't developed the abstract thinking yet.
I'm a visual learner too. I needed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's a
love
good
that.
analogy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love hearing these like snippets of your work
Mm-hmm.
because I know what you
Yeah.
do, but like I love hearing you in your element.
Oh,
Like
so
I don't know
sweet.
if you heard it, but your voice took on a very like Michelle the
Teacher mode.
professional kind of voice. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. I do appreciate that. Like I enjoy this part a lot. I think that my favorite part about my job is the teaching
Yeah,
because it's a long-term impact. They get to take that with
definitely.
them. And it's so like even the kids as young as 3, they'll choose like
Mm.
a blank journal that they can draw about their feelings and I'll give it to them and
Love
they'll
it.
be like, "What are you going to use this for?" And they're like, "Draw my feelings." And I'm like, "Good." Like
So
make sure
cute.
that they understand what the purpose is.
You make such an amazing teacher. I mean, you just have like all of the qualities of like
Thank you.
just softness, patience, and like good
You're so
explaining,
sweet.
good teaching. I'm tired, it's late.
It's okay. We all
But
are.
you
No
really
worries.
are like when I think of a good teacher,
Oh,
I think about you, girl.
heart.
I think about
You're
you.
so sweet. I
I love
appreciate
you.
it. It means a lot. Yeah, I do enjoy this piece, part of the work. It's great. Okay, time to get personal. You ready?
Let's do it. Let's get personal.
Okay, so ever since I can remember, and I'm sure many people, and you've kind of shared that you can relate this, it's been drilled into my mind that crying is not normal. It's a sign of weakness. It's bad. I can't let other people see me cry. I think the crying would naturally start for me after a long period of suppression, like when I was
Mm.
young. And I think this has to do with my childhood too, where like me being the well child in the family, the healthier child, and like not having to cope with any chronic illness, like I felt like I had to be the strong one to keep things together, keep it together for my sister and my parents, be the good daughter that I can be and not be any problems, including not being sensitive or not
Yeah.
crying, like kind of just coping by myself. And so I will do remember like there would be times where like I would suppress for a long time, and then the waterworks would start naturally, and I would still like, it's like again like that choking feeling, like that's
Yeah.
very very familiar to me, like that feeling, unfortunately, but
Mm.
it's very familiar. Like for example, when I was a teen, right? And everybody knows when we're teenagers, our body is like going through so many emotion
Mm.
changes, hormones, right? There's just a lot. So I remember when I would get into like those typical like sister and mother arguments, I would sometimes
Mm.
angry cry. Like it
Yeah.
just like after like all the suppression that I would have, like I would just cry in frustration, and I would do it very quietly. Like it would
Mm.
just be like one tear, like suppressing still, right? Like suppressing
You're
the
making
tear,
my
but
heart.
like
Oh my
that
gosh.
one tear just couldn't stay, so it comes out, like I don't
Mm.
have any control. Like those types of tears would just flow by themselves, even
Mm.
with me holding back. I didn't know that crying was a normal response, right? Like I thought it was not a normal response. That was something that I
Mm.
completely accepted when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was aware that it would make me feel better because I remember it feeling better, but I feared the society's response because in my mind it was looked down upon. And
Mm.
it wasn't just in my mind, it's true. Like the responses that people would get, what I would get when I would cry, like stop crying, it's okay. Like there's not space given to crying, which is like something important to point out. Like there's no space for it.
Yeah.
People get uncomfortable. There's discomfort around crying, which is a
Mm.
big deal in our culture. Like people get
Totally.
uncomfortable even if you're not the one crying.
Yeah.
Looking back, I feel that the suppression of my tears led to me continuing arguments when it is not necessary, right? Like doing things that I don't mean, saying things I don't mean. It's fascinating actually to think about it now because I was preventing the crying release. So my body found another way to release, which was the unhealthy ways, like saying
Mm.
things I don't mean, right? Fighting, like arguing more when it's not necessary. When looking back and reflecting on my upbringing and the people around me, the pattern was similar. I barely saw my parents cry or any members of my extended family. Like it was very foreign.
Mm.
Even during family gatherings. Crying was more of a rare response. Often I would see it as a grief response during loss. That's when
Mm.
it was more
Yeah.
acceptable during loss. I feel that this further perpetuated my mindset at a young age that it's not normal to cry. So then I just kept suppressing it. I just kept suppressing it. And I would say probably not until the last 2 to 3 years, I feel maybe more than that, like 3 to 4 years, I embraced crying and started viewing it as a healthy emotional response. It's very recent. It still makes me a little uncomfortable to cry. Like I told you, right? I still say
Mm.
sorry to my therapist sometimes or my husband, Aliman, when I cry in front of him. But I feel that I'm not afraid of it anymore, which is good. Like it's a
Mm.
step. Ever since we first started our relationship, like we were dating, crying would still happen, right? Like again, after suppression, I would
Yeah.
naturally cry or in frustration. So it would make him uncomfortable and he would kind of feel guilty, like he made me cry, or
Mm.
he would get mad at himself. He would blame himself that I made him cry or he made me cry and that's it. And crying is a bad thing. So
Right.
like I remember like more recently, like after we got married and, you know, there's always, especially in the beginning, like ups and downs, figuring out how to be together. So like
Mm.
emotions are involved. So I would cry. And I remember his immediate response was like, "Don't cry. Like I don't like to see you cry. It makes me sad." Like it was a well-intentional comment. And I remember
Mm.
telling him in that moment,
Mm.
like it's okay. Like this is a
Yeah.
normal response. Like my bot like this is a healthy release. Crying is not bad. It's
Yeah.
actually a good thing because it helps you feel better. Like it's a healthy response. And I remember him like looking back at me going,
Yeah.
"What?" Like so confused, right? Like I'm like tearing and going, "It's okay." Like,
This
telling
is
him,
healthy.
I'm like
Everything's
soothing
fine.
him. Like, "Let me cry. Like it's okay. It's not a bad
That
thing."
visual. You're crying and you're soothing. Oh my God. No, no,
Yeah.
it's okay. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, like this is good. And I
It
remember him
is.
like going, "Okay." And then after that, like he started accepting it more. He just like gives me space, holds my hand, right? I
Yes, I
think
love
he's slowly starting accepting that, and he's removing guilt from it. Like it's nothing to do with what he did. It's just a healthy response to emotions. So now during emotionally charged discussions and conversations with him, I sometimes would shed a tear or two because I'm trying not to choke on them, right? And he's taking it in, like he knows, like it's okay, like it's normal. At It's an interesting response, my response to that, because now I'm like, no, I want you to like react a
it. Make
certain
a
way.
big
But
deal,
that's
damn.
again, yeah, but that's again like the toxic environment that I was grown up in. Like I just got used to that response. So
Yeah,
now it feels empty that I'm not getting that
sure.
secondhand response of like, oh, stop crying. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like two sides, right? One is like accepting yourself and that you're crying and giving space, being curious about it,
Mhm.
being in the moment, but then also accepting other people being comfortable with it,
Yeah,
which is a
totally.
whole nother layer, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
But that's
that's my story.
amazing. That's so cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing that piece. I mean, particularly like, I know we're sometimes we just talk about our husbands. It's fine. We don't get their permissions.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oops.
But
Thanks,
it's
y'all, if you're listening.
shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for being our stories. But I mean, I think that's just so amazing that in those moments, again, right? Like sometimes we cannot be responsible for
Mhm.
how other people tend to heal and grow as we're healing and growing. But when people can heal and grow with us and change out of cycles with us, like it's such a phenomenal, magical
Right.
thing.
Is.
And I love that like difference of like, hey, no, like it's okay that I'm crying and we don't need to stop everything to address me crying and make me not cry anymore because crying is just a part of this process and like that's okay. I love that you
Yeah.
said that because that comes up all the time, particularly with couples, right? Like
Yeah.
that whole dynamic that's so normal when one person is crying and then the other person feels like well, I feel bad now. And it's like, I mean, you feel bad because you care, but like
Yeah.
the conversation is not over. And like
Yeah.
it's okay that we're crying. It just means that we're feeling sad and our body needs to get it out. But we can keep
Yeah.
having this conversation, right? Like
Yeah. Let's
normalizing that.
continue. And unless like for someone who starts crying and they're like, okay, I need to pause this conversation or take the space to continue
Right,
crying.
totally.
Like it could go both ways, but you're right, right? Like I feel like automatically at least in the South Asian culture that I've experienced, when someone starts crying, like things stop and
End
they're
of
like, okay,
discussion.
okay, stop. Let's talk about this later, or like let's talk about this
Exactly.
tomorrow, like once you're more calm, or like
Yeah.
right, like they kind of take the crying as like an extreme emotional response because
Yeah.
that's how it's been acceptable, right? Like the
Right.
grief and loss in our culture.
Exactly.
So like, oh, like you can't reason with me right now because you're crying, which is not
Ah,
true,
it's not
right?
true.
Like there are some types of crying, like the sobbing, where you're like your body
It's
needs
not
that reset,
productive.
and you need to reset, and you need
Yeah.
to take some time. But then if it's just tears flowing,
Yeah.
it's okay to like it's normal to like
Yeah.
want to keep talking still, right? Or take a
Exactly.
minute and then keep talking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like exactly that. Like if you can talk through your tears, great if you want to. If you need a pause, great, take a pause.
Yeah.
But like you
Yeah.
can do it right then and there, right? Like your partner can or whoever you're talking with can like stay there,
Yeah.
hold you, hold your hands.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing too because I always talk about how like you can switch by leaning in. Like if you're having a heated moment, now is like an opportunity to lean into the gentler, softer emotions
Yeah.
and keep having the conversation.
Yeah.
Or if you need a break, like take a break, come back to it. But
Yeah.
that's the other piece too of this is like sometimes I find that the partner that's not crying that feels kind of guilty, they feel like if my partner's crying like it's over, they have to quote unquote win the argument. What I'm
Mm.
saying is invalid because they're upset. So now I have to give in, right? Like and even
Mm-hmm.
understanding like no, that's not a thing. We don't need to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like, it's definitely like uncomfortable because what's been normalized is
Yeah.
not right, right? And I love like the title of this episode, like choking on unshed
Mm,
tears, like unshed and choking on them and suppressing them. Like that's a form of suppression. So when you cry, you are not suppressing, you're expressing,
exactly.
right? And so it's just like talking about your emotions is a form of expression, journaling your emotions, drawing your emotions, crying is in alignment with those. It's a form of expression of your
Yeah.
emotions. It needs to be all on the same level. And that's
Yeah.
something that I feel like crying has not been up to speed in our culture, right? In South Asian
Mm.
culture, like
Yeah.
crying is not part of that.
Exactly.
And it needs to be.
Yeah. I agree. Couldn't agree more. That's why I really love that that's part of what you shared. Thank you, Aaliyah Munn, for being a
Mm-hmm.
guest star in our story.
Yeah, he's doing great because I have changed a lot in the last 2, 3 years in
Yeah.
therapy. You've probably seen it. You've talked about it,
Oh, yeah.
and
We
he's
all have.
evolving with me. And like my therapist and I have talked about that too. How he's evolving with me, and that's so special and meaningful and
Yeah.
important.
That's what makes a good, strong couple. You grow together.
Yes, yeah, he's great.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. In the beginning, like, I mean, I was all over the place with my emotions in the beginning, that. And like
Yeah,
after, like Adi and I got married, like definitely same boat, right? Like there were moments when I still wasn't able to really truly get a good understanding of what my emotions were trying to tell me and then communicating them. So I was kind of all over the place. I would cry a lot. I've always cried a lot. I've just been a crier.
yeah,
Like that's just,
that's
I know this about
beautiful.
myself. I don't
Yeah,
feel bad necessarily, but I do feel like, that thing that you were talking about of like, okay, everybody needs to stop and attend to me, more or
mm-hmm.
less. Ask me what's wrong, Whereas
Yeah,
now I've kind of unlearned that. And like you, I've kind of taught Adi to like not make it a thing. Like, this is not your
yeah,
fault if I cry. I cry
yeah,
about everything. That's not about you. It's just me feeling my feelings. And like, you don't need to stop everything, but also don't ignore me. Come near me, hold
mm-hmm.
my hand, take a
Yeah,
moment, kiss me on the forehead, just hug me, and then
yeah,
let's resume our conversation.
right. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah. I love that you share that. That's so important to
Yeah,
normalize, especially
very
because it's not
important.
common in our cultures. Or at least it's not talked about,
Wow,
let's say.
what a good topic.
Yeah. I know we say
Such
that
a good
every
topic.
episode, but I
Yeah,
think
I
this one's
know.
my
Broken
favorite.
record here.
Every
But
episode.
actually though, like this is a topic that I'm surprised we haven't talked about sooner, right? Like
And it was
it's a
meant to
good
be maybe
topic.
right now.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All
No more
right.
unshed tears. Only shed tears, please.
Shed them tears.
Yes. Please.
Suppressing
That needs to
isn't
be
worth
a
it.
saying on the shirt. Shed them tears.
Shed them tears.
All right, shall I wrap us up today?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. To our wonderful and amazing listeners, we really appreciate you being on and listening to us or maybe watching us as well. If anything resonates with you or if you would like to send us a Q&A that we talked, like a question, like ask us anything, you could reach us to talksouthasiantome@gmail.com or our handle on social media platforms at Talk South Asian to Me. We would love to hear any questions you have for us, any feedback, any comments, any stories that resonate with you as well. We would love to hear from you.
And things you see in the community for us to do
Yeah.
Slay or Nay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Slay or Nay is another segment that you might hear in other episodes. We appreciate you.
See you next time.
Bye.